Happy Valentine's month, everybody. I'm the Sliders Review, and I'm here today to share with you some of my favorite Valentine's Day episodes from TV shows or even movies. Not everything is all lovey-dovey. Sometimes Valentine's Days deal with heartache and everything. So, some episodes will be romantic and lovey-dovey, while others will be very sad and heart-wrenching and stuff. But love is love. It doesn't always come with smiles and giggles and glee. So I'm here today to talk to you about Ally mcbeal season 1 episode 4, The Affair. Ally mcbeal, which is a show I don't think I've ever talked about on this channel, but I do plan on. I'm hoping to do it next month. It used to be one of the greatest shows, like one of my all-time favorites. Like, it was just one of the greatest shows there was when it came to comedy, drama, and basically, what a woman thinks and what she goes through in her average daily life. Think of it as Herman Head meets any female show you ever seen, but not as raunchy, but just more comedic and stuff. But it was a drama, but it had all these weird hallucination, wacky, CGI-ish type things, because you got to see inside her head and how she felt as like a person. The first 2 seasons are the best, but once they got into that 3rd season, things got kind of weird, and then they did something that caused me to get kind of turned off the show. And so I actually finally watched the 3rd season a couple of years ago, but I still have never watched the 4th or the 5th one. The cast started to change big time by those last 2 seasons, and then they went really drastically with Ally mcbeal show in the 5th season. If I ever do a rundown review, I probably just can't even talk about the 4th or the 5th, just kind of highlights here and there. But yes, this used to be a great show. It was a great female show and stuff. And the thing that was interesting about this show is that our protagonist is flawed. Every episode she screws up, and she tries to learn from her mistakes and move about her life and everything. And I like that, But with this episode, it is very flawed. Now, it's called The Affair. Duh, somebody had an affair. Now, you know me, I don't like when people cheat. And so I think it's always wrong, and it's never acceptable. So I'm very shocked at myself for talking about this episode, but when I was going through the menu list, I couldn't really find a lovey-dovey episode of the 1st season to talk about, and I didn't even feel like going through the 2nd. And so this was the closest thing I could do, so here you are. Because other episodes that do the lovey-dovey stuff, it's only like a side plot of the episode, and everything else goes in its own wacky direction. So I didn't really want to focus on that episode, so I wanted to focus on this. And that was one problem with this show. It started to get a little too wacky towards the middle and stuff. Once they realized they could get away with it, they just went overboard with it. But I wanted to talk about this episode also because Valentine's Day or loving type themes and stuff like that isn't always about love. Sometimes it's about the hurt as well, the heartache and the heartbreaks. And so this episode was very brilliantly written. It deals with a lot of flashback episodes. Not episode, but a lot of flashback moments of the events that are going on in the current day. Now, Ally is a lawyer at a very prestigious law firm in Massachusetts, well, Boston, Massachusetts. I used to always think it was New York because of the big skyscrapers and how everybody's walking around the streets and stuff, but no, it's Boston, Massachusetts. Now, Carissa Flockhart, she is the one who plays Ally, and she is married to Harrison Ford. She was also Kat on Supergirl. And the person who created this show, Robert E. Kelly, I think that's his name. Lord, I hope it is. I hope it's not that one Confederate general dude. I don't know. No, you know what? I don't even think. Is it David E. Kelly? Maybe it's David E. Kelly. I think Robert E. Kelly was the Confederate general dude. Anyways, the dude who created this is married to Michelle Pfeiffer. So that's awesome. So anyway, it starts off with its natural hijinks. Lorraine created a face bra because she worries about aging and talking about when you run, the face like muscles move around. This will keep it intact. Allie just thinks that like Elaine is just like one of the worst people she ever met. Elaine is very erotic. Elaine loves to gossip. She loves to spy on people. Elaine's always coming up with these weird inventions and stuff like that. And so, like, and Allie just can't stand her. And so, one of the hallucinations that Allie has is that Elaine's head is always getting bigger as she talks, because she talks about herself. But in this episode, her head doesn't really get big, or sometimes it does, you just can't really tell. Because they do a lot of close ups on people's faces in this show, because everybody loves that exposure. So, it always made people's heads look bigger than what they normally are. And so, I couldn't ever tell if Elaine's head was actually getting big or not. And so in this episode, Allie is dating some dude. I forget the dude's name. And so they've been like kind of seeing each other for like a while and everything. And he has taken on their law firm to represent him. She always ends up dating like her clients. Allie is the hopeless romantic. She cannot find love no matter what. Shocking, because the actress is gorgeous. The legs, the face, the lips, the hair, the everything. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, it's weird. She has a great job and she's smart. So it's kind of like, what's wrong with her? Well, the interesting thing about Allie is that Allie actually suffers from some sort of mental illness and stuff. It's played for laughs in the show, but if it was made today, it would be completely different. Now, her mental illness is not what causes people to not want to stay with her. It's actually just because she's flawed. She overanalyzes everything. She's so judgmental and stuff, and it really puts people off. And her past, there's always something going on in her past that she blurts out. She wears her emotions on her shoulders, on her outside and everything, and it causes people just not to want to be with her. And so she is the hopeless romantic type. And what makes things worse is that her first true love, since she's been like a kid, she works beside him and he is married. See, her and Billy people always wanted her and Billy to get together. They are forever each other's like soulmates and everything. But when they went off to law school, they went to completely different schools. And so that broke her heart. Or did they go to the same law school, or did they go? I can't remember. It's one of the two. I think they went to different law schools, or when they graduated, they went their own separate ways, something like that. But basically, he broke her heart. I don't know if he was ever seeing Georgia at that time, like cheating wise. But anyway, I have to rewatch the entire first season. This is why I'm not doing a rundown review yet, and because it's been a while since I saw this, and so like. By the way, you can watch this on Hulu. So anyway, so he broke her heart when he left. And so they haven't seen each other in over like 10 something years. And then at least 4 or 5 years or so. Because I don't know when they graduated, like around 24 or so. But now she's like 28 in this season and she's getting close to 30 and she doesn't like that because she's single and all this other stuff. And Georgia's a nice woman, but she doesn't like the idea that he's married to Georgia. But even though when those two saw each other, it was kind of like the sparks kind of flew again eternally and everything. They've never done anything to hinder, an affair between those two, but deep down inside, they will always be linked to each other. They are each other's emotional support. They're not dating, but kind of in a weird philosophical kind of way, eternally they are. And people can kind of take notice of that, especially Georgia, the wife. She thinks it's weird how Allie is always, every time she's upset, she goes to Billy's office alone and just pours her heart out to him, talking and stuff. And he's all like, they're friends. He's a sympathetic ear. But Georgia just thinks it's kind of weird, think there might be something more going on to it. it also comes into conflict with the guy who she is seeing, because like he's realizing those two spend so much time together, and he wants to know, should he be concerned, because they spend way too much time together. And she tells him no, there ain't nothing going on between her and Billy, but he doesn't believe it, because like, why are they always talking and stuff? And she tells him about her past and about the affair, which I have to get into very soon, of why this episode is called what it is. And so when he hears about that, he can't deal with it. He's all like, this is just too much baggage. And so when he starts to talk to her, she starts to do the whole hallucination scene inside her mind type thing. And she's all like, I know this feeling. And so we see like this garbage truck going towards like a garbage like dumpster, and it slowly starts to like pick it up, and then it starts to like dump out all the stuff in the dumpster, and it's her like falling out and everything, because she's getting dumped in real life. That's what I love about the imagery in this show. But why is this called The Affair, you're wondering, if her and Billy never had an affair? Well, this has to go back to when she was in law school. See, she's just now been informed that her mentor professor has died. And when she hears this, she is heartbroken and beside herself. And then we get all these flashbacks of Allie in her early 20s and her professor having an affair. Allie was in love with this man. Basically, it was like her second like love ever, besides Billy at that time, because Billy had left for law school. So yeah, Billy and her didn't go to the same law school. And so like she is hurt and she feels terrible. And we find out why she feels terrible. Well, throughout this episode, his wife does not know he had an affair with Allie. And she wants Allie to be a pallbearer. Then she wants Allie to like speak at the funeral. Allie does not want to do this because she knew what she did. So of course she runs to Billy and she tells him everything. Billy is shocked, but he's trying to give her the best advice he can. Telling her you should not tell his wife, and you should just like go about all this like, as everything is normal. But then things start to come up to where he tells her not to tell the wife. See, throughout the entire episode, like I told you, Allie is having all these flashbacks of her and the professor making out, from him talking about how like he loves her and everything, telling her how he has to break up with her because he left his family for her. He has 2 daughters and a wife, and he tells her the greatest tragedy of his life is not being with Allie. This, it really rocked her in her early 20s and stuff. Because when she found out, because at first he lied about being single, but then when she found out he had a wife, she tried to leave him, but then he weaseled his way into her heart, and then the affair lasted for a couple of months. And so because she used to always hang out at his place with the wife and kids, and one time he took his kids to the zoo and took Allie as well. And so the daughter knew something was up. And when she was younger, she just stared Allie down, like at a really young age, at like 4 or something. And so now she's 8, and at the funeral, she stared Allie down again, as Allie's supposed to be like a pallbearer or something like that. Or just, no, not the funeral, the wake. She stared Allie down, and the wife looked and didn't quite understand why her daughter is staring at Allie, but then it hit her. And when it hit her, Allie realized the wife knew. So Allie's been like terrified of talking to the wife. Well, the wife cornered Allie in her office one day, and she wasn't mean or rude to Allie. She just talked in a very somber type voice, talking about like, it was you, wasn't it? I never expected it would be you, but now it makes sense, because he always used to talk about all his students, but he used to talk about Allie in a very special way. And and the wife wants to know like, why did he do it and stuff? Was it her? Was it something going on in the marriage? This is when Allie, got some advice from Billy, and Billy's like, you can't tell her the truth. You can't tell her that like he just didn't love his wife no more, and that not being with Allie was the most tragic thing ever. So Allie lies and is all like, it was just a midlife crisis. and everything, and stuff like that. It doesn't really help the wife understand like why. But Allie keeps lying, talking about he loved you and your kids, and when he left you, 'cause he literally left the house and everything for a good while, but then went back. And she lied, talking about being away from you was just too painful from you and the kids. So she does not want Allie to speak at the funeral no more, but Allie's still allowed to go. When Allie's there, the lady, like the pastor dude, got the thing messed up and wanted Allie to speak, but then it's like, oh, she's not here, but then sees her. So Allie gives this big emotional speech that kind of gives the wife a bit of closure and everything. And while all this is going on, Georgia is just feeling a little unsettled because of the whole Billy and Allie thing. And it is extremely unfortunate that Allie and this man had an affair. And so when you're watching this episode before the man confesses, you're wondering, did he just scam her along? Because a lot of these like people who have affairs, they're scammers. And they don't really love who they are with and everything. They're just low down, cheating, no good dogs. Whether it's a man or a female, they both cheat and stuff. And normally in society, like I said before, they don't love this person and they just like fool around. But then there's always the other person who does end up falling in love and gets their heart broken. People should never get in affairs. It really just breaks up. Why would you want to break up a relationship? Like, why? You know what I'm saying? Or break up a home. And that's how Allie felt. Allie felt like she is a terrible person. She said she blamed herself, which is something women always do. But the reason why Allie blamed herself, because she said she knew it. Like when she realized he had a family, she should have broke it off then and there, but she didn't want to because Allie ended up falling in love with him. And it tore his family apart, where his daughters did not have him in their lives and stuff. And, the thing about him is that he actually did fall in love with like Allie and stuff. And it's one of those things that where this is a bad situation, but they tried to write it in almost a justifiable romantic means. I hate when they romanticize bad things, like people having affairs or adults like dating younger people or teachers dating their students, stuff like that, because it's never supposed to be romanticized, because people see this and they think, oh, well, it's okay to have an affair, or it's okay to date a student, or it's okay to date a younger person, when it is not in reality, because in reality it has implications that could lead you behind in jail. And so I don't like the idea that they're romanticizing it, but they did write a very brilliantly executed like episode, in my opinion, and stuff, to where it wasn't just, oh, he's a no good dirty dog and she's a hoe. You actually understood why they did what they did. Well, you understand from her perspective why she did what she did. From him, you don't really understand, because he was just being a dog at first, because there's nothing wrong with his wife. But then later on, you realize that why he had that affair, because he actually did start to fall for like, Allie. And just like I said, in real life, it's just majority of the time they don't really fall in love with the people they're scamming on. It's just like a scam. It's just for them to get their kicks and giggles and stuff, And so like, I really wish they would have had it in the episode where the wife got really pissed off, mad at Allie, to be more realistic instead of trying to romanticize it, because the wife was very somber and she just accepted everything what it was, because she was just a nice little housewife. She was nice, she was meager, she was meek. There was nothing bad about her whatsoever, but it's just because she was kind of like boring that didn't excite him and everything. And the fact that she didn't want Allie to speak, that was one good thing, but she should have really laid it into Allie and stuff. And, Allie has held this inside of her for so many years and stuff. And this is only causing more problems with her in relationships, and why she's so desperate to fall in love, because she's never really had true love where she can actually stay with that person in her past. I just wish the show didn't go so silly at times because this could have been a really, really interesting drama in today's time. Now, wasn't that romantic? Or depressing, depending on what kind of video I just talked about. Okay, well, happy Valentine's Day, everybody. And bye.